Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast here at Zaxby's in Martin, Tennessee. A very chilly day here in Martin, and happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day to everyone out there. Got a great episode for you all today as men's basketball, women's basketball in action this week. Got Coach Shulman, Tarence, Guinyard, also Lexi, Rubel, and Kevin McMillan going to be on the show today with us here. Chris, as we get into this week in Skyhawk Athletics. Men's basketball at Tennessee State tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Make sure to tune in with Chris and I on the Skyhawk Sports Network. Watch it on ESPN+. And then Saturday, a date with Tennessee Tech on ESPN+ and the Skyhawk Sports Network at 3:30. And then the women's basketball team will be at Tennessee State tomorrow night at 5 p.m. also on ESPN+ and the Skyhawk Sports Network. And then they'll host a powerhouse in Tennessee Tech right now, 6-2 in the OVC, on Saturday at 1 on ESPN+ and the Skyhawk Sports Network. Big week for both our basketball teams, Chris, and in-state rivalries going on.
Yeah, no doubt. And we play on a Tuesday, so we get a couple extra days later in the week and coming off a couple of wins. So we have a lot to talk about.
We do. We'll go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, our first guest to the show, Jeremy Shulman, will join us here on Skyhawk Sports Talk.
If I quit this season, they still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And welcome back to Skyhawk Sports Talk. Davis Gregory with Chris Brinkley now joining us here on the podcast. First guest of the show, head coach of the UT Martin men's basketball team, Jeremy Shulman, as the Skyhawks go 2-0 on the week with a 17-point comeback against Eastern Illinois and then a win over SIUE, who had a 5-game winning streak going into Saturday. First 2-0 week in OVC play for you, Coach. This was a really, really good week for this team, building up a foundation for the rest of the season.
It was. It was a great week. And again, you just look at these scores. It just shows how good the OVC is and how talented, how deep the OVC is. And for us to be able to get 2 wins like that against 2 really, high-level ball clubs was a great week for us.
And you still gave us drama.
Yes.
We have to. That's what we do.
Of course.
What do you call us, the blood pressure birds?
The blood pressure birds, cardiac hawks. Yeah. You can take your pick. I'm just going to switch them out every single time. It doesn't matter. We'll get into the Eastern Illinois game first, Coach. Come back from 17 in the second half and winning that one 68-63. First time since 2014 that the UT Martin team has come back from down at least 17 and winning in regulation. Vlad, he gets a career-high 23 points, and then Terence Guinyard scored 18 of his 18 points in the second half. What a win for you guys, too, and one where, again, we joked about it post-game, where normally we're used to leading all these games and then getting it down to the wire. But this one, down to start the second half by 17 and then coming back and winning. I mean, what a game. What a game.
Yeah, we've had 11 close games, which is wild, by the way. 9 of them, as you described, we've been up by double digits in the second half. And then 2 of them, Eastern Illinois and then the Alabama State game on the road, we were down and made it come back. And this one we were able to finish out. The funny thing about this one, speaking of Terence Guinyard, this one actually reminded me a lot of a game we had last year at my former school, Eastern Florida against Florida State Jacksonville, where we came out and they just jumped on us first half. And, we had a certain locker room talk, which was very similar to this one. And, we came out second half and, we did what we needed to do second half. So for Terence to be on our team now as part of it was very nice. I think you said he dropped 18 in the second half. He was phenomenal in that second half.
Do you remember as a coach some of the biggest comebacks you've ever experienced?
I do. So this is one of them. Again, that Florida State Jacksonville game was one of them. And then the biggest one was so long ago. It was 2000 and – it might have been 2000. It was probably 2000, and we were down by 24 with 4 minutes to go.
No way.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah. And it was unbelievable. And we just pressed down the stretch. We got turnovers. We made some threes. The other team missed some free throws. It's just one of those perfect storms. But so I always use that for many, many years after. Now that was 2000 was so far removed now from where it is currently. Yeah. I haven't used that story in a long time. But for probably about a decade after that, anytime we were down at all, I'd say just remember back in 2000, we're down 24 points with 4 minutes to go and came back and won the game. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah.
That's like Tracy McGrady times like 20. It was unbelievable.
It was absolutely wild. And nothing anywhere near that since then. Obviously, this is one of the closest ones in last year's Jacksonville game, but this one being 17 with, early second half.
I've said this a lot. One of my favorite parts about sports is the unpredictability of it. And for me, in 1986 baseball, it was the Red Sox and the Mets. I don't know when the ball went through Buckner's legs.
Oh, yeah.
That game was over. They had already given the MVP for the whole World Series to a Red Sox player.
I'm a big Red Sox fan, so I remember that very well.
No, that game was over. The Red Sox had won the World Series, and then it wasn't over. And then the Duke-Kentucky game where Leitner makes the shot.
Yes. Yes.
Most people don't remember that was in overtime.
Yeah.
And everyone assumed that Kentucky had won that game because Sean Woods, who ultimately coached in the OVC later, made a shot before Leitner made a shot.
If I'm sure it was a bank shot, almost like a floater bank shot.
Absolutely.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And those two games taught me in sports anything can happen, and never, ever, ever give up.
Oh, absolutely.
24 points in 4 minutes is beyond anything that I just described.
It's unbelievable. And then I think it was 2011. It was 2012. I'm sorry, 2012. We had a 22-point comeback, but that was it wasn't like with 4 minutes ago. I think that was early second half, kind of like this one.
But still, that's a huge deficit to overcome.
Yes.
And I guess you have to remember that on both sides. The other team is never out of the game, and then you're never out of the game.
I think that's a good point, and that's something, honest to goodness, I've forgotten because all the stories I've talked about. I mean, 2000 and coming into last year, especially. I mean, the previous thing for me personally was a 22-point game back in 2011 or 2012, and before that was 2000. I've kind of forgotten that. And so when we've been up by 10, 11, 12 points in a lot of these second halves, for me, I've just been very fortunate. We've been able to extend leads for the past decade. And, you forget that, oh my gosh, anything's possible, especially at this level with the amount of elite players that are here. And of course, the value of the three-point shot. And so I don't know if I even, now, again, looking back to some of our earlier games this year, I don't know if I even realized, I mean, you know what, those leads are nothing. We need to extend those leads. It's not that we're not trying to, but to your point, I mean, we've got to just understand that, we're up 12. That means we just got to go to the next possession, try to get up 14. Next possession, trying to get up 16 or 17, so.
Now, you're right. 10 years ago, a 10-point lead was a big lead.
Yes.
Now it's not that big of a deal.
Offenses are so good now.
Yeah.
Players are so good. Everyone's so deep. Everyone's so talented. I mean, those leads are nothing. Again, I'm drawing a blank on what we were down to. I think it was down 26 to Alabama State when we came back and went to overtime. And that would have been, it's funny, I looked on the NCAA side, that would have, if we had won that, it would have been the biggest comeback in, 30 years or something like that to come back with a win. And just to your point on that, leads aren't safe anymore. Right. Offenses are so good on both sides. It's just, college basketball is a fun place to be these days. It really is. It's a high level of play.
Yeah. Makes it fun for spectators, maybe not so much coaches.
A little bit stressful.
Just a little bit. But even when down by 17, and I don't know if Chris feels the same way, but going to have a moment of clarity. Down 17, you sit there and you think as a broadcaster, okay, golly, what questions am I about to ask after this game? And you start going through those things in your head. But I don't know if Chris did, but I didn't. And normally I would, but it just felt like, okay, 17, okay, whatever, and then 15, and then 12, and then it got down to 9. And I don't know because after every bucket we scored, I was just, down by 7 now, down by 3, and then it just slowly, I'm just counting it down. But no, I truly felt like with this group, when I saw 17 on the board, I don't know, even in my time of I grew up a huge Auburn fan. Yeah. If Auburn was down by 10, I'd turn the TV off. I'm not watching it. I'm done with this. But even down 17, I had the mindset of, no, there's still 18 minutes on the clock.
Yes.
We still have time. What was going through your mind whenever they got it to 17 with, I think it was 18 minutes left, Chris? 18 minutes left.
Kind of we talked about at halftime, we just want to do it possession by possession. And I told our guys, that's who we are. That's what we build our foundation on. And I thought we'd gotten away from that, obviously, in the first half. So I told them, I said, who cares about the scoreboard? Listen, I want to win this game. I'm a competitor, but we've got to just start trying to win every possession, and let's just see what happens. And so in my mind going on, we're just like, okay, we won that possession. Okay, we chipped it down here. Okay, we won that possession. Because I told our guys, there is no, at the time I think it was 14 at halftime, I said there's no 14-point shot. Then we get down 70. There's no 17-point shot. At least not yet, But, so you just got to do it one possession at a time. You just got to try to stack a lot of possessions in a row.
Yeah, and want to talk about one guy, too, from the game. Might have not been a stat line, and I asked you about this before the SIUE game, but Josue, 7.7 rebounds. And I think that for us, and we've talked about so much as improvement on the defensive end, Coach, but in this one for me, not shooting the ball well, but great players, when they're not shooting the ball well and they're not having maybe the best game offensively, they look for other ways to impact the game, and he did that, and I was very impressed by that.
Oh, he was awesome, especially second half. I don't know if any of us were as good as we needed to be first half, but second half, he did a great job defensively. He had some key rotations that were huge. Had a couple of kind of forced weeks in our defensive concept that were huge for us. A couple of rebounds. He made winning plays. And if I'm not mistaken, he was our leader in plus minus for that game, even though he didn't score very well.
Yep. UT Martin held EIU to only 3 made field goals in the final 7-10. Now on to the game. Pretty much I feel like it was the OVC game of the week. UT Martin and SIUE took the lead right before halftime and then carried it right down to the final buzzer to knock off a Brian Baroni coach team that's won 5 straight games, 85-82. You said the 11th game so far this season where the final score has been within 5 points or went to overtime, and then 7 of the 8 OVC games. Down 14 early to start this one, so not so much the 17 in the second half, but they come out and they really throw a haymaker. What was you all's response?
I mean, they're good.
Rajon Taylor's a good
player. They are
player.
good. And they played really well too. And that's you never know on a certain day. Like a team can be very good but not play well. Like we played Southern Indiana, who's very good, but they didn't play well the day that we beat them. And that's why you see the margin of victory that we had. And we got SIUE's best shot. I mean, they played great. The first 2 shots that Rajon Taylor hit were just insanely tough shots. Brian Taylor, who's a phenomenal player, but banks in 2 threes. They had a couple of just rainbow floaters while they're falling to the ground. Like, they played really well. And for our guys to, again, find a way to execute and find a way to the finish line in that one is just, my hat's off to the guys.
Yeah.
And Tarence is injured early on in that first half and goes down. It did not look good, but then toughed it out. He had 11 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists and a turnover. First, how is he right now? And then, what about that to come back out after a pretty scary injury and then go back out there and perform the way he did?
Tough kid, man. When we saw the injury, I'm like, well, next man up for this game because he's not going to be coming back in. And just tough kid. And he just wants to play. He loves the game. He's just such a competitor, and so for him to tough through it, and obviously he's a little banged up still right now, and we'll get him as healthy as possible before tomorrow night's Tennessee State game. But just tough kid, and for him to come back from that injury and help us to a victory was just unbelievable.
Yeah, the way I thought your team responded when he was out of the game. You're worried about your teammate, but at the same time you're still playing a basketball game.
Yeah, guys really, I think it motivated our guys a little bit. He got clipped on that layup and came down really hard, and I thought like Cortillo and Afon, especially at the guards, to kind of make up for some of his minutes until he was able to get back in. Yeah. Those guys really came out motivated and really played their tails off.
Yeah, I think it was a 19-3 run whenever Tarence had gone out of the game. And I thought, oh my goodness,
I love that.
They are making it up right there. So Carlos, you talked about him. He looked more confident from behind the 3-point line, 2 for 4, and then him, Tarence, and Afon combined for 14 assists. And this is a backcourt that is really probably one of the most selfless ones in the entire OVC in terms of distributing the basketball.
Absolutely. And Cortillo's a great shooter. He really is. Now, his stats didn't show it early, and some of that was confidence. Some of it was just being a 19-year-old sophomore from Puerto Rico playing, Division I basketball. But, he shot 35% from 3 on pretty good volume last year as a true freshman. And so, I think you're starting to see that revert, back to the level he needs to be at a little bit with his shooting because he's a really good shooter.
His family's been here too, right?
Oh, that's so
nice.
It's
been so fun.
They've got the frame picture of him they're holding up to. It's an unbelievable family. And so, but that backcourt's unselfish and tough. All 3 of those guys can really create for others. All 3 of those guys have really good vision. So.
And it was a great week for UT Martin, now up against 2 in-state rivals, Tennessee State and then Tennessee Tech. 3rd game in 6 days now. One of the shorter weeks for you. I think, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the only time it's Thursday, Saturday.
We
Sunday.
Have one other.
One more. There's one more.
Yeah,
okay.
One more.
So a first of 2 now. 3 games, obviously that's not favorable, and I know coaches probably don't like that. But your thoughts on that? It's a tough league, and now you've got 3 of those games in just 6 days to prepare for.
Well, we know it's going to be a real challenge. We just play the schedule that's in front of us, so I've got no issue with that. But we know it's going to be a big challenge. Tennessee State's very, very talented as anyone in the league. They're playing very well. They just beat East Illinois by 20. Obviously, it's a home game. They're doing a blackout for it. They're wearing their black jerseys even at home, so you could tell they're amped up for it. So, but that's exciting. We're going to have a great atmosphere. Obviously, with me being from Nashville, I'll have some friends and family out there as well. But we'll get our guys healthy, mentally prepared, emotionally prepared, and really ready to battle.
Let me follow up on you're from Nashville. How did you become a Red Sox fan?
So my dad is from Boston area.
Okay.
Okay. He's from right outside of Boston. He's from Swampscott. So,
okay.
And so he's a Red Sox fan since he was born.
You're Stremski and Boggs.
Oh, yes. I've got all the old baseball
the
cards.
So
I grew up a Red Sox fan with my dad, and going to card shows and getting Red Sox cards.
So when they broke the curse, that was a big deal.
Oh, it was
right?
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the weird thing about it. You grow up as a Red Sox fan, like you have this identity of the Red Sox never going to win.
Yeah.
The curse of the Bambino, like never going to win. And so they win the first time, it was like just unbelievable. It was like exaltation. It was unreal. Yeah. They win again, it was like phenomenal. They win again, it's like, this is weird.
Yeah,
It's weird. So now,
yeah.
I probably, not just probably, I definitely follow them a lot less now than I ever have before.
Yeah.
Just the dynamics change so much. It's like, I don't know, just like you grow up knowing one way, and now like.
Now
weird.
they're just good.
Now they're good. They're not supposed to be good. They're supposed to be the
My
underdog.
other question is, being from Nashville and being a basketball coach, and I wrote a paper on this in college, but there's so many good Division I college teams in the Nashville area, and then the three teams are within 2 miles of each other, Lipscomb and Vanderbilt and Belmont.
Yeah.
So when you were growing up, did you go to college basketball games in the area?
I did some, not as much. I mean, I was always playing, and I was always doing other things, so I didn't go to as many as I wanted to. But, it's funny because I went to all the Tennessee football games, but it was in the fall before my seasons always started. But, during basketball season, I'm always playing. But so I went to probably more Vandy games than anything, growing up. Not as many at the time. Belmont and Lipscomb, as great as they were NAIA.
That's true. That's exactly right.
So it wasn't quite as great as they were with, like, I guess it was Phil Hutchison, who was the all-time leading scorer there, and great players, but it just wasn't still quite the same draw being NAIA at the time. So even though there's phenomenal programs, I didn't go to a lot of those games.
We were just talking about Vandy, and when you broadcast a game there, the broadcasters are below the floor. And the coaches were on the baseline. Like it was a whole different experience.
It is wild, and it is loud in there. And, they used to call it Memorial Magic. And, that's one reason that it's weird to me also to see Vandy struggle so much because, I grew up where Vandy, had Barry Goheen and all those teams.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Will Perdue, Whip Perdue.
Yeah.
And, I mean, those teams were Will Perdue, by the way, from Brevard County, Florida, where I was coaching for the last 14 years. He's from Merritt Island.
Yeah, and does color commentating now.
Oh, yes,
He
that's
works with
right.
the Chicago Bulls. I saw him a couple of years ago at Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame.
Oh, my gosh, that's
he's
awesome.
a really, really good broadcaster.
Is he really?
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a really good guy.
Yeah.
So, unbelievable, Jim. But they like Mark Byington's going to get it going again at Vandy. I mean, he's a heck of a coach. So they've got the right guy now.
Yeah. And before the TSSAA state tournament was at Murfreesboro, it was at Vandy. I mean, that's where
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's where they had their games.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I knew so much about obviously being at Murphy Center in the borough, but I didn't know that. That's great.
Yeah.
And talking about basketball history, one person who played on those Kentucky teams back then, John Pelfrey, the coach of Tennessee Tech.
Yeah.
Going to have them on Saturday. No game on Thursday, so a little bit more time to prep for that one. They lead the OVC in assists per game, defensive rebounding, and then opponent three-point field goal percentage. I mean, how do you look to prepare? I mean, because you are really the king of prep. I mean, from everything that we've heard is you are a film junkie. You want to watch all the film that you can, and this is just more time. Is that good, but also more time off for the players too, and maybe to kind of get rust built up maybe, but then try to break that off in practice? So your view on that.
For us, it's short. It's really not that long of a break. It's just really just switching our Tuesday and the Thursday. Normally it'd be the same amount of break from the Sunday to the Thursday game. But, I haven't honestly done a whole lot of a deep dive yet into Tennessee Tech because, I'm so focused on the Tennessee State game for tomorrow. But all I know is they're really good. It's the most talented team he's had at Tech in quite a while, maybe ever since he's been at Tech.
Whenever in the OVC the games are Thursday, Saturday usually, and that is a quick turnaround compared to a lot of conferences.
Yeah.
What did you have in Florida last year when you play your division?
So we have Wednesday, Saturdays.
Okay, so that's a lot more time.
It is, and it's. I'll be honest. I like it better. I mean, we're not going to go to that here, but I mean, I like it better. It's just easier prep. It's easier balance for taking care of guys' bodies. It's not as long because it is. To your point, it is a longer break if you have after a Saturday game not playing until Thursday instead of a Wednesday, and so it does take getting used to. It's taken probably our guys too, but definitely it's taken myself some getting used to with the schedule.
So I have a question for you, and Davis and I talked about this, and we have differing views on this. But when you have a road trip, say Western Illinois and Lindenwood is closer to you, and Western Illinois is further. Would you rather that furthest team away be the Thursday game or the Saturday game, or does it matter at all?
The good thing is I don't think about it at all because I can't control it.
Okay. So that's a no answer.
Wherever they tell us to play is where we play, since I have no option of control on that one. So.
Davis wants to get the drive out of the way.
I want to get the long trips out of the way first.
You might be right on that one. I just since I have no control, I think if I start going down those rabbit holes,
exactly.
I'll be like, dang it, you know what? It'd be not, no. So whatever they tell me, that's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing. Well, Coach, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it. as you are about to head to Tennessee State.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Good luck this week.
Thank you, guys.
We'll go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll have Tarence, Guinyard, the UT Martin men's basketball team. Join us here on Skyhawk Sports Talk.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
Back here on Skyhawk Sports Talk, Davis Gregory with Chris Brinkley. Now joining us from the UT Martin men's basketball team, it's Terence Guinyard, student athlete from Tampa, Florida, transfer from Florida State College at Jacksonville. First, Terence, before we get into anything, it was about 9 degrees this morning, and you saw snow for the first time a couple weeks ago. So how is everything going in your world right now?
It's really cold. I'm not used to it at all, so
Yeah.
It's
tough for me.
Just having to adjust to everything, right? Well, I have bad news. It will only get colder. However, in the summer, it gets up to about 105. So we find some type of balance in that. So, Terence, first year at UT Martin right now, third in the OVC in conference play, and points per game at 18 flat right now, 3 30-point games this season. I mean, everything looks to be a smooth transition for you from junior college to Division I. How have you adapted to the game here at this level?
I just really, with my teammates, we play together, and it just all comes together with me with the team. So it's not really more of me. It's really like my teammates and the way we play and just the ball movement.
Absolutely.
I'm impressed with that and the chemistry that you guys have so quickly. How did that happen?
We just always with each other, like outside of the court. So once we get on the court, the chemistry is already there.
Yeah.
I want to go to the Southern Indiana game. So you get 26 points in the first half. It looked like it's the game that everyone dreams of. Yeah. You can't miss. You're just on. It's NBA Jam. You're on fire, and there are no missed shots. What were you feeling in that moment? Were you just kind of in a different zone, out of body experience? What was that like? Because you couldn't miss. You couldn't miss.
So after I hit the first two, I kind of just started feeling it. I always say I got the microwave badge on 2K.
Yeah, the microwave badge.
After I hit a couple, I can keep it going. So that's just what it was.
Yeah, and then in the second half too, had 2 points there, but then started to distribute the ball better and get some rebounds, and then everybody else got involved, and that was just kind of like, oh my gosh, these guys can play some basketball right now. It was a huge win for you all, though, with the first win in conference play.
Yeah, that was a great game for us. It was like a statement victory, and it kind of just kept us going from there.
Yeah. And what you were doing defensively in that first half was just as impressive as what you did offensively.
Yeah, I think our defense is the best defense in the country. Our system is just so well run. So.
And your system is different. It's tough to adjust to. How hard is it to learn?
So in the summer, it was tough to learn. Yeah. It's just a lot of different difficult rotations, but once you get it, it's great from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then want to go to the Western Illinois game, and I talked to Coach about this a couple weeks ago. I think Chris was there too. It ended with 31 points there, but it was. The first shot of the game was pretty deep three. It was like, oh, shoot, he made it, okay. And then it was maybe the second or third shot. You were probably about 29 feet out and still pulled. So right there from the jump, microwave was on. It didn't even take a shot to get you going. You just had it right from the jump. The confidence. Talk about that and building that up and what type of game you play with your confidence.
I give credit to Coach Shulman on that. He gave me all the confidence to play how I want to play, and I've just played with my teammates again. So once I'm hot, they keep feeding me. They're how we feed them. We just play together. So.
What's neat, too, I think there's several guys on your team that can get hot in a period of a game. Yeah. I don't know if I've seen a team with that many players who you feel like, well, he could roll off 10 points in the next 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's like we got a lot of shooters. So once they falling, it falls for everybody.
When you see somebody getting hot, do you try to get them the ball?
I definitely. Yeah. Like Mattia, that's my guy. I love it. He's perfect shot. I love his rotation and everything. So.
Yeah. And then another guy, Josue.
Yeah.
If you three were in a 3-point contest, who's coming out on top? Because that one might end in triple, quadruple overtime if we're doing it by the NBA All-Star rules.
Yeah, that would be a tough one.
That would be fun. I'd pay money to see that. I honestly, we might have to get something organized and shoot around one day, and I'll be there and watch that. Going to this past weekend, Terence, the injury versus SIU went down, a scary fall for you, and then go to the bench, come right back in and play well.
Wait, you went to the bench, then the bike. Well, actually, you went to the bike.
To the bike, and then back to the bench.
Because my first thought is, what's he doing on the bike?
Once you went to the bike, we were like, he's okay. He's okay. But going through your mind there, because obviously probably a pretty scary situation. I don't know if you've ever been hurt before like that.
No.
But so for you, walk us through that, because that was a moment.
The fall, it was a hard fall on my knee. I think it undercut me a little bit. So the fall was just tough on my knee, and I couldn't really get up in that moment. But I knew I wanted to play. So I tried to immediately get to the bike so it wouldn't stiffen up, and I'm glad my teammates held me down when I was out. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and it paid off. So now getting into your decision to come to UT Martin, why UT Martin? I know Coach Shulman just talked about how he coached against you and everything like that. What was the recruitment process like to get you here to UT Martin?
So I was going to come with Shulman, Coach Shulman regardless. He believed in me all the whole JUCO, my 2 years of JUCO. He used to always tell other Division I coaches about me, and they didn't listen. And
now they're paying for it.
And so he recruited me. I probably committed like 2 days after. So I'm glad I did. So.
Yeah.
And
we are too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for choosing UT Martin, even though it's cold up here. I promise it's going to get warmer. I promise it is. Talk about your relationship, though, with Coach Shulman and how you all have built that up from not just this time here at UT Martin, but even before in the junior college days, too.
So I was supposed to go to Eastern Florida my sophomore year, but I ended up staying home with Coach P, and I'm glad we ended up together still. We had a good bond, over that time. We talked on FaceTime a couple of times. And then we got here, I was a little more quiet when I first got here, but he has a lot of energy. So it just feeds us, and now we just have a great chemistry.
It's great. It's great. On the team, 12 international players, and you're just one of 4 Americans on the roster. And Chris mentioned the chemistry that you all have and being, hanging out with each other all the time and how that gets built up. But how's it been meshing with those guys and learning about their cultures and where they're from?
Well, they're just really cool people to be around. I learned a couple words from them, so sometimes I can talk with them a little bit, in their language. But they're just really cool people. Even better off the court, on the court. So
Awesome. Hey, last question for you. This team's been battle tested this year. I mean, injuries at the start of the year, and then now, all these close games. First, what do you think about all these close games?
Man, it's tough when you're in the moment. You're in the game. Your heart beating so fast. You see that last second shot go up. And it's sometimes it's been going in, so it's like it's a heartbreaker.
It is and it's.
And you've been on both ends of it, but now you would think at some point as a broadcasters, even we'd get used to it. Like, this is what they do. It comes, but you never get used to that.
Yeah, I always want to put the team away, but sometimes we just got to figure it out at the end.
Yeah,
and you have here in these past 2 games. But going back to my original question, again, how have you all grown throughout this season? Again, adjusting to injuries and then all these close games too, because it's been truly a grinder so far this season. But you all have come out and are looking, one of the best teams in this conference right now.
Yeah. So it after the first heartbreaker, we was in the locker room, heads down, man, it happened again. And it's like, man, and Mattia, he picked us up, put our head up, just like, we're gonna figure it out. And ever since then, we figured it out. So
love it. Well, Terry, I know you all have got a bus to catch in about 10 minutes,
okay.
so we're gonna let you go. But thanks so much for joining us. Look forward to talking to you a little bit later on in the season.
I appreciate it.
If I quit this season, they still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And we're back here at Skyhawk Sports Talk. Davis Gregory and Chris Brinkley now joining us from the UT Martin women's basketball team. It's Lexi Rubel, junior forward from Cape Girardeau, Missouri, 3rd year as a Skyhawk. Lexi, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So UT Martin winning last time out against SIUE, and Lexi started every single game this year. And did you know how many games do you think you've started in your career?
Most of them, majority probably.
You'd be right. You'd be right.
Yeah.
70. I think you've played 79 games and you've started 70 of them. So
Wow.
that's a pretty big
Yeah.
accomplishment. I don't know what the minutes total is. Normally for soccer players, I'll do the minutes, but
Yeah.
I don't know how many minutes it's been. But it's been a few here over the past 3 years. Does it
Yeah.
feel like that?
Not really. It's kind of gone by quick. It doesn't really feel like I'm already a junior. Like I'm already halfway done with my junior year, and I have one more. Like it's gone by pretty fast.
Right. And so, and this 3rd season, again, it's kind of been a little bit of an up and down year for you all, and getting into conference play and learning more and more about yourself. So, where do you feel like the team is right now?
I feel like we're really close to figuring it out. This year I feel like it's taken a little longer. We have so many different pieces, which we're usually pretty short-handed, so we're not used to having all these different pieces. And it's like one game, someone could have an amazing game, and then the next day someone else steps up. So we're really close to putting it all together.
Yeah, and you got the core group that's back, but you are
Mm-hmm.
right with the other pieces. It changes the dynamics completely.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you have more depth and are talented as a team that I've ever seen. Do you agree with that?
Yes, 100%. I feel like half the people on our team and on our bench too, they could be a starter in any other OVC team.
Yeah. What's that mean in practice? What's practice like?
It's pretty competitive. We have we have like 3 groups, and we will switch like offense and defense quite a bit, and it gets pretty competitive, especially when we start keeping score. So.
Yeah. Who are you usually matched up with in practice?
Usually I'm with Abby.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah. She's pretty crafty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she is.
And she can shoot the 3.
Yeah, and she can
but
shoot.
you're
She's a great
crafty and
shooter.
you can shoot the 3.
Yeah, we're pretty similar players. So.
Yeah.
I was about to say, your 3-point shot. Let's talk about that for a second. It's a line drive jump shot. When did you develop that?
Yeah.
And it's probably the most, I don't know how to describe it, more creative jump shots I've seen in terms of how it comes off your hands and everything like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Coach doesn't like it. He's always trying to fix it, but it just, whatever happens.
If it goes in,
Yeah.
then what is he talking about?
Yeah.
If it goes in, there should be no
But
problem.
I love it. I mean, you get
Exactly,
some
yeah.
open shots out there, and when you have confidence, you have a tendency to knock it down, which makes you so tough to guard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What I'm most impressed with you is your tenacity on the inside, though, even whenever you're undersized. You're one of the toughest players I've seen. When did you develop that as being a basketball player, that toughness?
Probably since I was little. I grew up when my dad was my coach, so I kind of had to have pretty thick skin and be pretty tough because he was always on me, and there was no favoritism at all.
Yeah. No, it's tough playing for a parent,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And
was
then,
there a time in your career when you realized that you were one of the toughest players out there?
Probably in high school, like my sophomore year, I was like, oh wait, like I'm pretty good,
Yeah.
I'm pretty just solid, consistent.
But you can be good. There's a difference. You can be good and not tough. You're
Yeah,
tough.
Yeah.
Nora's tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there's-
exactly. You just have to be solid the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, be just steady the whole
Yeah.
way through. So going back, Notre Dame High School, correct? That's where you played at.
Yes.
All-time leading scorer, rebounds, I think steals too. So, and at your sophomore year, was that the moment where you thought, okay, I can probably play Division I college basketball?
Yeah, I had a couple offers my freshman year, but it was kind of like, I was a little unsure. I was like, do I deserve this offer? But then my sophomore year is really when I was like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you got to play with Tori, your sister, last year. You've got 3 sisters. So Kate and Bree.
Yes, they're
Kate
twins.
and Bree, the twins, and then Tori playing with her last year. What was that experience like? I know you kind of talked about it a little bit at the selection show and everything, but that had to be awesome. You grow up with your sister, and then you play college basketball
Yeah,
with her.
it was really fun. It was always nice. I feel like it's just she's very comforting to have on the court. She kind of just calms me.
Yeah. And now we're seeing Caitlin and Kenley. Did you have advice for them?
They're totally different than me and Tori. They're always bickering and arguing. Just they're a little, not a lot, but they always have something with the other one that they have to say or point out. And me and Tori, I think we got into one argument the whole year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're a lot different than we are.
we were talking to Kinley earlier about I think their dad was driving them to some lesson or some softball lesson, and Caitlin was upset about not wanting to go for some reason and was like, I just want to be average. I just don't. And then
I've
it made
heard that
Kinley
story.
so mad.
Yeah,
it made
I've
Kinley
heard
so
that
mad.
story.
Well,
It's
I tell
got
you,
brought up a few times.
who was not average in the last game? That was Caitlin. She had a really nice game.
Yeah, she had a great game. Yeah, she was a great spark for us.
Yeah.
And as a freshman, how is she adapting her game to the floor from your point of view?
I think she's doing a great job. She's having to fill the point guard role a little more, and at first she was like, I'm not a point guard, I don't know what I'm doing, but she's very confident now, and she's really good at directing and everything too. So
So you've spent quite a bit of time with this guy, Kevin McMillan, Coach McMillan.
Yeah.
What do you want to say about him? Now he's listening.
Oh, now he's listening. Oh, no.
Never mind. Are you hungry, Coach?
He's going to, yeah.
She'll say it, I promise.
I think that he is a great coach.
There we go.
And I love him so much.
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go.
No.
So,
What's the other thing now is what he's thinking is like, oh gosh, what else is there?
No, he really is a great coach, and he's always trying to find ways to help us win games and everything. So I've been really lucky to get to play under him.
Yeah. What kind of coach is your dad?
He's a great coach too. He's probably listening. So.
Okay, all right.
Going through the recruiting process, what was the pitch that Coach made to you to try to get you to come to UT Martin? Because then you had SEMO, SEMO in your hometown, and then you decided to go to UT Martin over SEMO.
Well, I was really deciding between Martin and 2 other schools, I think. And I called him one night, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I got to make a decision soon. And we basically went through the pros and cons of every school. And then afterwards, like, okay, bye.
Okay.
Didn't tell him anything. And, like, the coaching staff was like, well, is she going to commit? He's like, I have no idea. But yeah, when we were going through all that, I was like, all right, yeah, I know where I need to go. But I couldn't let him know just yet.
No, you had to build up suspense.
Yeah, exactly.
You had to build up the theatrical.
Well, thank you for choosing UT Martin. Yeah.
Yes. And going back to the team this year, I mean, what's your favorite thing about this group right now? I know we talked about stuff on the court, but off the court, I mean, how are things going there with you all?
It's good. We have a lot of fun. We went caroling this year, and
really,
you would think we were kind of dreading it. I'm not gonna lie, but it was actually really fun and funny, and we can just make the most of everything we did. We make the most of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one of your other coaches, Maddie Spencer, formerly Maddie Waldrop, who was a great player at UT Martin. She's been coaching up you all, the post players. What kind of lessons have you learned from her as she teaches you all?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's helped me a lot. I feel like we're pretty similar players and all, so she's really helped me try to, adapt to the post and do less crazy up and under shot fakes, spin around the goal a million times, and then I'll shoot it. Like, she's helped me get a lot quicker with everything, and then she's been helping me a lot with like finishing and stuff, and just being a little more positive for me right now, because I kind of get down on myself quite a bit. So.
Do you know how good of a player she was? Have you seen?
I've seen a little bit.
Have you seen a little bit? Yeah.
I was about to say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, if you pattern your game after hers at all, that's a good thing for sure.
Have you seen any Jasmine tape?
Not really, actually. We've requested it several times, but. Yeah.
That's what I've heard, is that there's a person who did games with us on WTM. Andrea Adams did games for us on the student radio, and they would always talk to him about how great Heather and Jasmine were. But where are the tapes?
Yeah,
where are the clips? We got to find them. We got to find.
It was the 1800s.
We got to find Chris's old broadcast of it. That's
right.
what we need to. Hey, what's your goals for this year as we kind of wrap things up? I know still a large chunk of conference play left, but what do you have set out for yourself?
Well, I mean, the obvious one, I want to be an OVC champ, obviously, but also I just really want to have fun, and really I just can't wait for everything to click, and I'm just waiting for everything to click. So
it's close.
It is. It is. In 2 opportunities this week: Tennessee State and Tennessee Tech. Lexi, thank you so much for your time.
Yep,
Good luck this week.
Thank you.
We will take a break. When we come back, we'll have Coach McMillan joining us here on Skyhawk Sports Talk.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
And we're back here, Skyhawk Sports Talk. Final guest of the show, head coach of the UT Martin women's basketball team, Kevin McMillan, is UT Martin, splitting on the week with league leader Eastern Illinois, and then got the win over SIUE at home. And Eastern Illinois, I mean, is still right now 8-0 in the conference. UT Martin going toe-to-toe with them. And, Coach, going into that one first, I mean, this was a close game, a really hard-fought battle between, I mean, 2 of the most talented rosters in the conference right now.
It was an ugly game. I mean, 51-48, maybe the lowest scoring game in the league so far. But I thought I think we've talked about it. It was kind of like a heavyweight fight. And it came down to they had McMillan and we didn't. And so their best player put their team on their back, and we needed an answer, and we didn't have one. And I don't think that's not a slap at us more than it is a pat on their back. McMillan's good. I mean, she's really good. We probably, I told our girls today there's an adjustment that we need to make. We went into that game and played our matchup zone, which we hadn't played all year. And the girls did a great job. But if you're going to put it in a matchup zone, there's a couple other things you have to do to go with it in case they start kind of figuring some things out. Well, they did figure some things out, and we hadn't had time to put in any adjustment. So I kind of was like, yeah, but the game's still a 2-point game, so don't. I was afraid if I'd made the adjustment, which would have maybe helped us, it also could have gone the other way, and we give up a 6-0 run, and then we're out of the game. So we gambled, and on not making an adjustment, and it didn't work, and they were able to get her the ball some late that changed the game.
Yeah, Anea and Macy were a very fun matchup to watch in that one. What'd you tell Anea going into that game? And she finished with 14 points and then 6 rebounds too.
I mean, Anea just needs to be Anea. I think what you're seeing with our kids right now, and you heard Lexi say it, she can't wait for it to click. And I think what you're seeing is that Shay and Kinley and Lexi and Anea, probably those 4, are trying really hard to make it click. Well, there's a problem with that.
They're not the ones who need to.
They're not the one. They can. It's okay, but the harder they try to make it click, it's not. You can't make it click. Mm-hmm. It just clicks. And the harder you try to make it click, it's not going to work. But you have to respect them for trying to make it click. They're not sitting back doing nothing. They're trying. And, today we were just walking through some stuff, and they were moving and cutting as best we've seen all year. But it was like they had 2 people running into each other. They were running 4 people to one side of the floor. And I'm going, okay, and I stopped them, and I'm like, okay, I love that you're moving, because 2 weeks ago, a month ago, they weren't moving very well. We were very stagnant. Well, at least now we're moving, but we're moving not in unison. And I think so that's growth. That's progress. But it's not going to show up yet in wins and losses.
Yeah.
It's not going to show up in offensive efficiency yet, because games are tough. But they're doing something different. And if they'll keep moving, and what most people do when things go bad for people and they don't know what to do, human nature says you stop. That's what human nature tells you to do. I don't know what to do. Stop. Okay. In basketball, you don't know what to do. Fake it. Just act like you know what you're supposed to do. What does your gut tell you? Well, my gut tells you I should be moving, but I don't know where to move. Then move. Move anywhere. And so I think we're kind of at that point today. And right now with our team, at least we're moving. Now, can we get us all moving to the right places in the right direction at the same time with each other? Yeah, we got a little over half of the conference season left to try to do that. And so I think that's what Lexi's telling you when she says, I'm excited because I want it to click. There's something about our system, and I don't understand, to be honest with you. I just coach it. When they start playing together, you can just see. I mean, it's like one of my former assistants that coached me a long time ago said it's like a dance.
Yeah.
And when they start dancing, you see it and you can tell it. And I think that's kind of what we're hoping for. In the Eastern Illinois game, there was no dance, and there wasn't one against SIUE either. But there's flashes. You see it every once in a while. But anyway, I think that's what Lexi's talking about when she's saying I'm excited for it to click.
Well, I mean, it clicked. A less talented team that clicks is better than a talented team that hasn't clicked.
Yes, and our problem is my system is built on those 5 players clicking together.
Right.
And so if it doesn't click, we're not going to be very good. I don't care how talented we are. Most people don't do that. Most people's system is just based on your talent. You go play, and so you don't have to click, and you're okay. And then when it does click, you're really good. But it's okay because we're not worried about it. We're so worried about those 5 working together. When it doesn't work, we're a train wreck. And that's, I think, what she's saying when she feels.
Now, that's offense. Is that defense too?
Oh, God, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because you got to cover up. It's actually harder on defense because you got to be so in sync that you got to know when you don't know what they're doing, you got to trust your person in front of you even more.
Yeah.
You got to trust the person behind you even more. When we've got the ball and we're doing something, you kind of know, okay, I know what she's doing over there, and I don't even have to look because I know we're doing these things. On defense, it's
That's
like,
true.
I don't know where they are.
Yeah, the ball's not the cue. That's
yes.
right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, to the SIUE game, down by 6 at halftime, but UT Martin comes back to beat SIUE 72-65. And, Coach, at the start of the game, you plugged Morgan in for Kinley and pulled her aside there at the start. Can you tell us what you told her there at the beginning of that game?
Yeah, I told her she passed up 3 shots in the first 2 minutes. And I said, if you pass up 3 shots, I'm just going to sit you over here. So, well, coach, but I'm not feeling, my threes aren't going in. I'm going to do that. Okay, then sit over here. Okay, then go out and shoot the ball. She's the kind of player that Kinley's strengths are her weaknesses. She wants to win so bad and she wants to compete. If she's not making a shot, then she won't shoot it and she'll let somebody else. She's got some unselfishness about her. What she doesn't understand is if she has a miserable game, she'll fix it. So I'm like, have a miserable game. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
It bothers her because she wants to win. Whatever's right in front of her, she wants to win. And she's so laser focused. It's awesome to have on your team. But that also gets in her way because it's like she doesn't trust herself enough to go, okay, I'm going to. She does and she doesn't. It's kind of hard to explain. And Lexi gets that way sometimes. And so that's what I told her and then played her. I guess she was out for about 30 seconds, 45 seconds, and she went back in. And she didn't have a great shooting game, but I don't care. She will make shots when it matters. If we can get clicking, she'll make shots when it matters.
Yeah.
And she still had, I think, 8 rebounds, 7 rebounds.
Yeah, she'll go do other stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, Kinley, just do your thing.
Just go play the game.
Yeah.
Just go play the game.
Pretty much.
And at the end of the game, talking with Chris, you said the team started to play harder in that game. What was the moment you realized that during that contest?
Well, I realized we weren't playing hard early and was like, okay. And this actually is a button that I've pushed for years, and I was glad to push it, and I was glad our kids responded. If you're not going to play hard, we're going to press, because you can justify as a player when we're in a zone or we're switching in man or we're running our transition, you can justify not going hard. Well, you see, coach, she was there, so I didn't want to run on top of her, so I backed up. Or, well, we were switching and she was doing this and I was doing that. Okay. When you start pressing full court, those excuses go out the window.
Yeah.
And they're right out there in front of God and everybody. So you don't want to play hard now. It's going to be so evident. So you don't have a choice. And that's what we did. And they picked it up. I give them credit. They picked it up. But we weren't good, but we did start playing hard. And if we'll play hard, I think for the rest of the season, I think we talked about this, we're just going to have to worry about playing hard because we're not clicking. And I think that we need to start, I told you about attitude, then effort, then you can be a good basketball team. So we're in the effort phase. Well, effort's play hard. Let's just go play hard. And you can play hard in everything. So, I thought SIU outplayed us for most of the game, but I did think our kids, when we started picking it up and going hard, we did a good job. But then they were throwing in threes from everywhere, and we could have easily gotten beat.
Season low 8 turnovers and then forced 22 on the Cougars. And Caitlin was clutch in that one, 11 points, and then had that big shot at the end of the third quarter to get you the lead going into the fourth. I
thought Caitlin, not only was her shots going in, she just plays hard. She's kind of the picture right now of, I don't know what to do, so I'm just going to play hard. And when you play hard, good things happen. The shots go in. Yeah. She gets an and one. And I thought that was an adrenaline shot for our team that really helped. And I think she was plus 14 or plus 12 for the game in 14 minutes. And she's just a tough kid. She's a winner. She's won state championships. And we're going to need more of that effort as we go forward. I talked about Taylor Scowey's 32 seconds, which was huge. I talked to her about that yesterday because my daughter chewed me out about Taylor's 32 seconds. And I talked to Taylor about it yesterday, and she was kind of laughing. But she understood, those 30, every possession is huge. Every rebound, every pass. And kids just don't put a lot of importance on every little bitty thing. Nora played really well, and we got the ball in Nora's hands more, which is what I told you we've been trying to do. And I think she's going to do nothing but get better. I thought Lexi was more aggressive. I thought she was more active. So there's really there's pieces to the puzzle that are presenting itself. But it's like we still don't know what kind of puzzle we're putting together.
Yeah.
You know, we're the pieces are becoming clear, but the overall picture's not. And it's like we're kind of playing in a fog a little bit.
And every team, and I've been with this team ever since your first year, but every team every year has a different identity and a different makeup. And this team's an outlier from any team you've ever coached in its ability and what they're actually doing. And I think that's the promising, exciting part.
It's exciting and it's agonizing at the same time.
Yeah.
Like our first year team, you remember back to that bunch.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Davis, if you want to see something that's incredible, you need to watch the first year team. If we can ever find film on those guys, I think we probably hid those.
No, it was
burned the tapes.
It was 6 players.
But that 6 players and 4 of them were walk-ons.
And if the score was in the 30s or 40s, we were pretty happy.
Yep. But if it got in the 50s or 60s, we were in trouble. And that team could beat this team.
Yeah.
And
that team could still beat a lot of teams in this OVC.
And the thing about it was, in my coaching career, I think Alex told me this one time, and I can't remember it now, but the theory is from down 15 or more points, my teams have come back and won like 8 times in my coaching career. 5 of them happened in that season. And that team walked the ball up every possession. Yeah. We came back from 15 down with 6 minutes to go 3 times and won.
Yeah.
In a game that was only in the 50s.
Yeah.
So the score's 49-34 with 6 minutes to go in the game. 49-34, 6 minutes to go in the game, and we come back and win. Yeah. And it's like, but everybody's going, press, coach. No, we ain't pressing. We're walking it up. But that team had its identity, and we were not going. You were not going to break us from our identity.
Yeah.
This team, we're a chameleon. Yeah. We've got 50 different identities, and they're all good.
Yeah.
And we can't figure out which one to sit there and focus on, because as soon we'll do that, as soon as we do it, we need something else. So we go do that.
Yeah.
And we're just good enough that we can pull it off or get back in or whatever. And it's like, we need to get blown out. We need to have this hit rock bottom here. We need this not to work. But we're just good enough to make just about anything.
You're right. I mean, I remember a game specifically. I don't remember which game, but we had 3 like really good possessions of fast break, and then I'm like, "That's who we are." And then the next 2 possessions, we turn it over.
Exactly.
Fast break.
Exactly. One game, we throw the ball inside every single time and destroy somebody.
Yeah.
The next time we try to throw it inside, we turn the ball over every time.
Yeah.
So okay, well let's drive. So we start driving, but we couldn't drive in the game before, and I'm just going, okay, this is entirely too complicated, because as a coaching staff and as players, you can't go into a college basketball game and not know what you're about to try to do and then try to win.
Yeah.
So we think we're going to throw it in the side. Well, how long does it take you to figure out you don't need to do that? A half a quarter? So that's 4 minutes of a game that you're going to not do what you should do to win? You can't win a game in college basketball giving 4 minutes to the other team. Yeah. I mean, you can't do it with 3 possessions, but yet we do. And that's not the girls' fault. They're coming in saying, "Coach, we can do just about anything. You need to figure this out." And I'm looking over there and twiddling my thumbs. Like, I don't know what to do.
It's a moving puzzle. It's not a regular puzzle that you put together. The pieces are just
like
always
on a globe, and it's just spinning constantly.
Yeah.
And
it changes, and the pieces will change shape.
Yeah.
You get 2 pieces locked together, and as soon as you look over here at those 2 change shape on you. And you're like, oh, how'd you do that? But they don't do it for the worse.
Right.
They do it in that. Yeah, we could. Oh, do you need the puzzle to be? Do you need the puzzle to be a picture of the ocean? Fine, we can do the picture of the ocean. Oh no, you want it to be a portrait of somebody? Okay, we can do that. And I'm like going, guys, I'm not that smart. Just let's do one picture of one thing, and let's get really good at that, and then we're going to beat everybody doing that.
Right. I bet if we took I don't want to pick on our players, but every player's worst game and every player's best game, there would be a bigger divide with every player on your team probably than I've ever seen
That's
with
probably
individual
true.
players
Yeah.
because everybody has played this game, and
Yep.
most people on the team have had this game. And you once told me, like, if you're a player that's going to turn the ball over 3 times a game, just turn it over.
Turn it over 3 times a game.
Every game. And
Every
then we
time.
know
And
that
I can work with that.
Don't turn it over once one game and then 6 the next
consistency,
game
yeah.
because I don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we're not that. We will go here, we'll go there,
Yeah.
Ding dong back there, she'll do it. She'll have 9 rebounds in one game and she gets 2 the next.
Yeah.
And I'm like going, Lexi, and she didn't do that last year. But the reason she's doing it is we're back to that clicking thing.
Yeah.
She's not sure how to cover up for this person or what to do there. So there's a little hesitation. Well, then she'll get frustrated, and so she'll just go get some rebounds, but then that frustration doesn't work. So she's what you're seeing, and you really see it from players like Lexi and Maddie.
Mm-hmm.
Those players kind of are my barometer because they play really well when they know what we're doing.
Right.
And when I keep switching it and moving and changing, she's literally like, I bet you there's a picture of me, and I'm not being whatever, but there's a little doll in her room, and she's got pins, and she's smacking it at me because, and it's probably she's had to go buy 4 of them because she's ripped them to shreds. And the thing about it is, I'll need to buy them 4 because I know I'm doing it to her. And she's patiently just sitting back. She's the one twiddling her thumbs, going, okay, when's the idiot going to figure it out? When's it? Because whenever he figures it out, I will do my thing. And I'm looking at her going, I don't know what to do, Lexi. And I think I kind of made that point to him the other night, and I think she understands. And I basically said, I need your help because all of my tricks are not working like they usually do. So I need your help. She gets it. Mm-hmm. What to do, I don't know. She's going to try. She's going to do everything she can do, and that's all I can ask her to do. So, and she's doing it, and she's worried about being in PA school in 2 years.
Yeah. I was going to ask her if she'll ever coach, but that's a no, right? Okay, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, she's coaching her kids. I'm coming to the game. I am coming to the game, and I'm going to watch, and I'm going to sit behind her, and I'm going to heckle her. It would be great.
The whole time.
That
the whole
would be
time.
great.
Tennessee State and Tennessee Tech up this week. So the Tigers, tomorrow night, they bring in new head coach Candace Dupree, who is a fantastic professional WNBA All-Star 7 times. And third game in 6 days. We talked to Coach Shulman about that. I know that that's probably not one of your favorite things, playing 3 games in 6 days. But it's just, I guess, how the schedule works out. How do you try to work around that? Because that's a very short amount of time. And it's a lot on the players and you, the coaches, to rest and get ready for each and every one of those.
Well, we took Sunday off, and we just let them stretch and try to get loose and shoot some free throws. And today was light because you play tomorrow. And then we'll take Wednesday off, and then we'll get ready for the next games, the next game. But I don't mind. I mean, the schedule. This is the only way you can do it. Is that when you have an odd number of teams, you have to go. One team goes Tuesday, Thursday, and one goes Tuesday, Saturday. I mean, and it's going to happen for everybody twice, and so at least it's fair. I just think we're at the point where we're going to need to go Wednesday, Saturday, or Thursday, Sunday, or Friday, Monday, because Thursday, Saturdays are just hard, and the kids today, not just my team but everybody's teams, they don't handle that like kids used to. So
most conferences do that.
Most are Wednesday.
I guess the thought process, the logic is Thursday, Saturdays for travel.
Thursday, okay, Chris, come on, seriously.
Well, no, what's the logic?
Money.
Right, travel and money.
It's money
because it's cheaper.
It's cheaper, so we're going to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, but what does that do to the student athletes?
Well, it could cost money ultimately.
Okay,
but it puts them in harm's way.
It puts them in a bind physically. You're missing class, but you're not. If we went to Wednesday, Saturdays, I think I've done the research on it. The money is so close, it's not funny. Mm-hmm. And the time missing class is basically the same.
Yeah.
So it's actually, I think you should do it, but it theoretically doesn't make sense to go play Western Illinois on Wednesday and then play at Lindenwood on Saturday and come home.
Right.
I mean, in your mind, you're just going, that makes no sense whatsoever. So you shy away from it. Well, there's ways around it, and I wish we would do it.
Well, it's what Murray's doing now, I guess. They have a bigger gap between their games, right?
Yeah, they're playing Wednesday, Sunday as their average games. But again, now the bigger the conference, it doesn't matter because they charter flights, so it doesn't make any difference for them. For a bus league like us, I understand what we're doing. I just think we need to rethink it because of the way kids are these days. Yeah. But again, you don't want to play on Wednesday because it's church night. You don't want to play on Sunday because it's church day. You don't want to play on Friday because it's high school night. Yeah. I think you eventually just have to go, you know what? Yeah. This is what we're doing, and
Would you ever rethink doubleheaders? Any thoughts on that either way?
I would say for me personally, I don't care. But for the people, the arena staff, the people, I hate for them. That's 4 nights now that they're going to be there instead of 2.
Yeah.
I think that honestly, I would ask them what they wanted. And if they said, we like single games because we're not here for 6 hours, I'd be like, okay, fine, we'll do double. But those are the ones that it affects more than us.
Yeah, good answer.
Yeah, and Tennessee Tech coming up on Saturday. I know Coach Shulman talked about it, and you too probably, that probably all the focus right now is on Tennessee State. But Coach Roseman, she's done a terrific job with that program, and they're playing some good basketball too. That'll be a fun matchup on Saturday.
Well, they're probably them and Southern Indiana, probably the 2 most experienced teams in the league. They're the ones that I've seen the least. But the little bit that I saw, they're doing the same things that they've always done. And if they're shooting the ball well, they could beat anybody in our league. So both these games are going to be huge challenges for us where we are right now. And, truth of the matter is whatever game we've got is going to be a challenge until we can get clicking like Lexi wants us to. So, this will be a tough week.
All right, Lexi, let's click.
Let's click. We're clicking this week. We're clicking.
She can do it. She can do it.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for your time. Hey, good luck here in this week of OVC play.
Thank you.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
That'll do it for yet another episode of Skyhawk Sports Talk. Chris, I don't know if you know this, but I did the numbers this morning.
Okay.
We have single-digit episodes left.
Really?
Can you believe this?
No. Wow.
Single-digit. I think we have 7 episodes left here in this semester because we'll do our last episode, for those that didn't follow the show in the first season, our last episode will be the day after the OVC tournament wraps up.
Right.
And so it'll be that next week. That'll be our last episode. Still, ton of sports that we're going to cover. Baseball and softball about to get started. Excuse me. Chelsea Farmer, we get to talk to her.
Oh, nice.
New UT Martin first-year head coach. We'll talk to her a little bit later on in the season. But no, down to single digits. That is hard to believe. But great show today with our student-athletes and coaches on. Coach Shulman, Lexi, Tarence, and then, of course, Coach McMillan, always giving you a hard time, Chris. It feels good that somebody at the end of shows is giving Chris a hard time now that we flip-flopped it from the fall season.
I can handle it. I give him a hard time sometimes, too.
Okay.
Every once in a while.
There we go. Well, we wrap it up here. Make sure to visit utmsports.com for all your UT Martin scheduling. Make sure to check us out on all our social medias at UTM Sports. And make sure that you tune in this week, Tuesday and Saturday, UT Martin versus Tennessee State tomorrow night, and then UT Martin, Tennessee Tech on Saturday. Make sure to stay warm, Skyhawks. Thank you so much for tuning in. For Chris Brinkley and myself, Davis Gregory, all our coaches and student-athletes on the show today, and our support staff, we say God bless from Zaxby's in Martin, Tennessee.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.